Listen up.
It's TLDL.
Welcome back
To
TLDL.
Welcome back, Ilya, to TLDL. It's been a while.
I know it's been a moment.
It's been a fucking minute since our producer showed up. Episodes are coming out late.
Ooh.
He's not here.
We miss him.
We want him to hang out with him. I'm thinking about inviting him to Thanksgiving.
Oh, did you not message him yet about it?
I messaged you.
Oh. Ilya, keep your options open for Thanksgiving.
Here. I am a good home cook. I'm not the best, but I'm good.
I'll help if you want.
I'll make a great cheese board.
Nice. Well,
Welcome
I'm
back.
pumped. Welcome back. I'm Alex, y'all. Why did I introduce
Hi, I'm
myself?
Chloe. I haven't seen you since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, and that weird incident with that guy walking up your
that's
driveway.
right. Oh my gosh, the last time we recorded, after we recorded, my very inappropriate, creepy neighbor who lives like down the street, not even next door neighbor, walked into my home drunk last week, and thank God Alex was here.
Oh my, we were like talking about, we're filming. He's made some creepy comment. He's like, oh, you guys are making a home video. We were like, what the fuck?
He was really weird, and he kept insinuating that like Alex wasn't supposed to be like at my house. And then
it was very fucking
for
weird.
context, my husband's met this guy one time 7 months ago, and then he saw like me home alone or with Alex, I guess, and just decided to come talk to us over the fence line. We shoot him off, and we went on a walk to get away from him. We come back, and this drunk man walks up my driveway and into my house. He just walked in. He was like inches from me, and he stank.
And I know there's a lot of people like, guys can like maybe say something, people can insinuate it a certain way.
It was
this
weird.
Was black and white. This
Yeah.
dude was like being a creep, and he was drunk as hell, and he's kind of known in town for being that way. So that
I
was
didn't
fucking
know
weird.
about this, so now I'm on guard. But listen, fences and gates are going to be when I am a millionaire. I'm gating the whole thing.
I love the wording.
Thank you.
Love that.
I better be after all this shit I'm doing.
Oh my God, you're on it.
How's you?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. I took a little trip down Knowledge
did?
Lane. Well, down Knowledge Lane.
I'm so mad if I don't know something about you. I'm like, where'd you go?
One thing is I've been trying to fix my posture. So
I am copying it.
If you watch me on YouTube and I just look awkward, I'd rather look. One of my coworkers said, "You look like you have a carrot stick shoved up your ass," and I was like, "I'd rather do that than fucking slump like my whole life." So
you know what? Me too.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look as
he has a very large chest. Like in a good, well, so here's the thing. I love emaciated men, that's my aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like you have a very masculine like chest that like, no wonder women like you.
Maybe. Well, I don't walk around like this. I don't walk around like this often.
No, but since you did, I realized you have a very like pronounced, like, I don't know.
Chest,
You just
maybe.
look like you lift.
Strong. Oh, maybe. Well, I do pull-ups a lot. Maybe that's it.
Hate muscles, I like a really atrophied person.
Well, yes.
But I think you look like the modern aesthetic of a manly man.
DM me. Just kidding.
Do it. He's lonely.
I wanted to go deep dive on non-binaryism. I don't know if that's a term, but non-binary people. I literally had to because look, some people will never come across a non-binary person or never have to learn about it.
They won't know.
That's what I mean.
There's a lot of course you will, but you're not like you will be unaware.
Yes. And now two people one person in particular that's very close in my life came out as non-binary. And before that, if you see all of fucked up content online talking about people that are they're like, it's 1,000 genders, it makes no sense, pick one or the other.
This sounds literally like what you said to me when I talked to you about it.
No, I said I was fine with non-binary.
You did, but you were like, there's, like human, like I draw the line at this point.
Yes.
And
well, look, for
I'm
me,
just happy that you had a conversation because what you just said, the internet saying is kind of how you came at it.
I came off, only because you said they identified as fairy gender, which
you
said fairy gender. And that was their pronouns,
Sorry.
which
I'm proud of you for looking into it.
Yes.
I just like, as you said that, I was like, I don't know if you realize
that I
that
sound
is
like
as
them.
strong as it had come off to me, and why I was like, okay, like
You're
I
like,
want,
bro,
but anyway,
chill.
months later,
Yes.
this is awesome because I didn't really know you were doing this, and you texted me and said,
I was like, girl, tonight is the night where I am going to just dive in deep and look at what this means. Because it is a lot of it is just like young kids on TikTok making up like demon genders and all that stuff. And that's totally cool. Like, whatever, do your thing. This is the world. What I'm realizing is that it's kind of a old paradigm that is this pendulum is swinging back into our new world where everything here is black and white. You're this or that.
yes.
And then with this new kind of idea of like, look, it's not like that for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people, I do think
it
that
is
there's
so
like a
simple.
spectrum.
Like there's a lot of simplicity in this. I love that. Like it is a pendulum, and there have been other times in history where it hasn't been so black and white, and obviously like Greek Renaissance, you know.
That's what I mean.
But that's amazing.
There's like indigenous cultures that like had a third gender, which was like someone that was completely androgynous. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, androgynous aesthetically, but they were like, oh, they're just this.
They would have been like non-binary if there'd been a word for it.
Yes,
and
that's
also,
what I mean.
It's really awesome. I'm so happy you're looking into this. And the androgyny part is interesting because I'm sorry to take over. But as with non-binary people, I think for a long time, for as long as I've been aware of the term or whatever, I did assume at first there was a period of time where I assumed you were androgynous or like you should be. No.
Oh, yeah.
A non-binary person.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, so you can't really tell when you look at him. Like if you guys know who Jeffree Star is, like that's a perfect example of what I thought being non-binary is.
Yes.
And so I've evolved a ton in like my understanding of it. And it does not, you could present as one, you know, societal gender or the other. And that really like may not play any part in someone being non-binary. And for others, it is a huge part of celebrating being non-binary. So I love that the androgyny is not necessarily a part of it.
Totally.
For some people.
It's not about aesthetics at all.
That's why we should ask. This is why you should ask people's pronouns.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm still getting there. I'm like, but then there's some, yes.
I'm just excited. Yes. This is awesome.
This is just a new world. I'll probably be one of those people that don't, not intentionally, but just like, may not be involved with that many non-binary people in my life, but I think it's important. My issue on my side was that I just thought of it as like, oh, it's one of those genderless people or whatever. They have a gender, the third gender or no gender. And that was my mentality. And then when I saw them or they came across my life or my feed or whatever, I was like, oh, it's one of them. And then these people came up in my life that it was very important that they were like, dude, I just want to be clear. This is what I am. This is what I identify with. For her, she specifically said, like, you can say you can say she, her.
I'm sorry for correcting you.
You could say they,
she,
them.
they, or they, her. Got it. And does she have a preference? Is it like, so usually with the pronouns, the like she / they, or
I have to ask specifically.
If them's first or whatever.
But
anyway.
Specifically, she said like, she does not identify as a woman. That's like not who she feels like she is. But she was assigned female at birth, but not. So I was like,
do they feel? So they feel comfortable with like feminine terms sometimes, but would appreciate both.
Yes,
and are certainly not like a woman. They're a person, and
yes,
okay, love it. Easy.
Surprisingly, it's a cousin of mine, and half of her, on her dad's
astrology cousin.
No.
A different cousin.
Oh, yeah, no, astrology cousin, yes.
Then we'll have a little convo about this.
But her dad, it comes from Paraguay, and his family is like all indigenous. So it's interesting that like, yes.
And especially with like some indigenous beliefs, like being so much more spiritual and connected to your ancestors.
Yes.
What a beautiful thing.
And to, kind of I was mentioned, that I didn't want to think of her as it's just like, oh, she's just one of those genderless people. I wanted to, like, if someone were to say that behind closed doors, I wanted to be like, listen, dude, I wanted to be able to explain it. You want to be able to
explain it.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, was my journey this week.
I fucking love it. And only am moving us on because we have other scheduled things to talk about on the docket. However, I love it. And we should
Here's the
at
growth.
least have a conversation with them about that, but more focus on astrology.
Yes, for
but
sure.
I would love if they're going to come on anyway.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
She's so cute. Okay. Congratulations. That's how you spent a week.
Well, a
Discovery.
night. Yes.
Okay.
A night off.
How else? What else? Anything new?
Learning more about music production, that whole thing.
Nice.
I'll announce when I drop this album or a single or
sure.
something. But yeah, it's been taking up all my time and then work.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Gotta pay those bills.
You know what I mean. you're a hustler, girl.
Are you moving in with me soon?
Eventually.
Not with me, but onto my fence line.
Yes. We're talking, we're thinking about an alternative dwelling. I'm thinking about
I'm getting ready for it. I have quotes for fences and gates coming in right now. So and I'm prepping for you. You better show up.
Yeah. And we're taking care of it just because we need, this podcast stuff. We want more of you to be enjoying us. And I want to dedicate more to all of these other projects as well as, y'all, rent is not motherfucking cheap.
Yeah. So we found this super cute, yellow, so cute, like trailer.
Yeah.
It's like,
17 foot. I mean, on the inside,
it doesn't drive though. It's not like an RV. It's like a trailer.
You pick it up and
it's super cute. It'll very much fit the aesthetic of what I'm going for. It'll also be fully hidden behind a fence, so no one will see it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that was on purpose, but
yes.
I love it.
It's gonna be cool.
I'm then proud. He doesn't have to pay stupid rent to stupid people.
And I'd rather, help.
Put our money somewhere that can make us money instead of rent where you're paying a landlord. So it's so stupid.
Yeah. So we're working on it.
Fuck yeah. We'll
our
announce
empires will be built
when our addresses are the same.
Yeah.
Everything I could have ever
Do you have
wanted.
A mailbox?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Of course. No, we're good. We are ready for you.
Okay.
I've spent my week doing so much stuff for my company for ANC events. Holy shit. We had Amy on a few episodes ago, my business partner, and we chatted about kind of the founding of the company and like what it felt like now, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome or just like shock that we've made it this far. And then like since that interview, we kind of like formalized all these thoughts in our minds.
Yeah.
It was like, oh wow, we've really grown a lot. Well, now it is like oh shit, everything we said was actually very true. So why the fuck don't we have a list of 10 things that we should probably have for our business?
Yeah.
So I've been spending I've been working like 13-hour days every day. I don't think I posted on my own like stories. I usually do like cute stuff of Ezra. I haven't
heard from you
for days on end.
Yeah.
I just signed a contract with a new accounting finance firm, and I have learned how to use fucking payroll. That's a thing. If you have employees, you should probably do. Who wasn't doing it? Me. Call me IRS. I finally have my employees as employees. I've done like QuickBooks stuff, trainings. I'm just, you wouldn't think it takes as many hours as it does.
You're on it.
I'm trying, and so close to the point where now we can pay for these services that we need to grow, and we could actually afford to do it. So we've done it, we've invested, and I think I'm like a couple weeks away from passing off this shitstorm
to someone else,
going back to wedding planning and being a leader.
Come on, girl. Hell
and
yes.
Not a fucking bookkeeper, because I wasn't keeping those books.
Yes, but it takes a little bit of work to get to that point.
My name was like on some shit as titles, like accountant, CFO, registered agent with the state of Washington. I was like, I'm a what? So I had to call one of the companies, and I was like, what? Now, what is a registered agent? Because it says I am, but I want you to be. And guess what? They are now, because I paid everyone what they need to be paid to stop doing this bullshit.
Hell yeah.
So we're a company. We're going into year 4 in September. It'll be a 3-year anniversary headed into year 4 of ANC events. And I own
That's so exciting.
Multi-state company with multiple employees who need to legally be paid.
Hell yes. Hell fucking yes. This is why I collaborated with her, y'all. I'm tired.
I'm tired. But I am proud of myself. But you guys, if you decide to start a business and you have big dreams, just know those dreams are going to catch up with you, and you are going to have to actually like run a business.
Yeah. And then not only that, you're remodeling your house.
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Yes.
And
He did start daycare, and my
Yes.
dad's moving here next week.
Oh, hell yes.
So I
huge
have
help.
support now.
Yes.
I feel so excited, like, to just know that I just want Ezra to have, my son, to have like the best childhood he can. And I truly believe that community parenting is an amazing thing.
Yes.
Does not make me feel guilty at all, but I haven't had that community.
Mhm.
So I will be using it. I just needed to get my dad here. So my dad's moving here next week.
Oh my God. So much shit is happening. Girl.
But then I think by our anniversary, which is in September, I can kind of focus just more equally on everything again and not just be like, on my computer 24/7.
Outsourcing is like the biggest thing to scale out. Everybody wants to be everything, and it's just not fucking realistic when it comes to a business. So,
and they just don't tell you how hard it is to outsource, though. Like this transition period, oh my God.
Yeah.
It is so many meetings and trainings and introductions and contracts. And I'm just like, holy shit. It takes a lot. Like it's taking hundreds of hours to delegate. Yeah. And I do love to delegate.
You love it.
But that's my kind of behind the scenes, like boring update. But you
not
know
boring,
what?
exciting. I'm learning
a lot.
Yes.
I'm learning a lot.
Wow, damn.
I have a goal though, I've realized.
Yes.
Okay, I want to share this.
Yes.
And then you have to think of one big goal.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, you tell me yours.
No,
I've been talking.
First.
No, you go.
No,
shut up.
Okay, my just goal in the next 2, 3, 5 years, honestly, however long it takes is.
No, but I like the time. I feel like that's awesome.
2, 3, yeah. It's like I'm in a. It's going to be this ongoing thing, and it's not going to be. I've always tried to rush everything, and whatever. But be full-time online personality and artist.
Love it.
Period. And that's
and that is one and the same.
Yes.
That is amazing.
That's true. Yeah. And I wanted to be doing this. If we had like 2 different shows a week, we just show up, do the show. We have
Ilya
our producer,
producing,
editor,
we can pay him. Maybe
and then we
that's
have like
why
people
he's
doing all
not
the marketing,
showing up.
people doing everything.
Maybe it's the fact we don't pay Ilya. Is
consistently.
Why he hasn't.
We pay him.
We have paid him.
Yes.
We have it. IRS. Fuck off.
Yes.
Just don't listen any further. We've paid him a tiny for friendship.
I know.
Someday we're going to have to fucking get a business license for this company too. And it annoys me knowing that that's coming.
I know that's going to be a whole other thing. But
whatever.
Yes, anyways, that's my goal.
I love your goal. I love your goal.
I just want to wake up in the morning, know what, and do that. That's truly what fills me up. And I don't mind, doing all the work that it takes to do it,
You just have to have the time and resources. I'm excited.
Yes.
Fuck
What's yours?
Okay, so my goal's a one-time goal, and I mean it sincerely. I'm going to say it sincerely, even though it's a little silly. I would like at some point to be a credited producer on an episode of a TV show because I think I could be an excellent producer. I think I have taste. I think I understand humor. I think I know how to coordinate people because I'm an event planner. I think I could pull together different talent, different directors, different videographers, like all the stuff, all the computer stuff, like whatever I would have to do as a producer to make an episode come together. I guess if I were joining a TV show, a lot of that would already be taken care of. So I'd really just have to.
I mean, that's very parallel to wedding planning.
Maybe I'll do a movie because I kind of want to start from the beginning. Even if it was just like, I don't know, not just an indie film would be amazing, not just, but it would be really cool. I would love to be a producer of some form of like filmed event.
That is very parallel to wedding planning in a lot of ways.
Do you think?
For sure, because you have to get all the talent, you have to have food there.
Yes.
You have to get, you know how to do it.
And a lot of producers delegate that because they're so, high up or whatever. But if I did an indie film, because I've done this for so long, I wouldn't mind doing the food staffing myself. Like I could do all those things without delegating and I would be a lower budget producer. I love saving $1. I just think that would be so cool to be a producer.
I'll easily see that.
Because I'm not good at acting. I mean, I would do it if I were good, but I'm not. But I love theater and film. And I think it would just be so cool.
I think it would be sick. I'm like excited for you because it's going to happen for sure.
Fuck yeah. Well, I'll figure out a way. Hey, call me. I would produce a music video. I would produce anything. I'm really open. to doing something.
Okay. Well, I got a couple of music video ideas. They're extremely artsy and like way abstract, but we'll talk about that more.
I can still pull that's the thing. You don't have to be artsy and abstract. You have to see potential in other people.
Yes.
That's what I think I'm gifted at. I am good at wedding design, but in terms of other specialties, like I have never put a floral arrangement together in my life, but I can find a florist who can execute it. That's what it is.
Production, yes.
I don't need to be artistic. I think I am, but I don't even need to be. Yeah. I just need to be able to see the talent in other people.
Yes. So but that takes an eye too. That takes an art time. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes. I'm excited for your TV show or movie or whatever
I'm excited for your album and online personality.
Here we are.
Here we
go.
We're
getting there. You're producing a show and I'm a personality. We're both personalities.
Once my accountants are probably listening to this, like, please stop. Just stop.
Pump the brakes a bit.
The brakes.
Let's
you're
just
doing
end this
everything
year
wrong. So you're going to be sued by the IRS.
Yes.
We're fine.
Yes. Oh my God.
Do you want to get into the episode?
Hell yeah. Okay. Last week was toxic friendships.
And this week is going to be toxic romantic relationships. Hell yeah.
We've had a couple.
Yeah. I will say, I think I've had more toxic friendships than I have toxic relationships for some reason.
Yeah, same.
Like official ones. I've had like weird situationships.
Okay. Yeah. Same.
Have you had a lot of those?
Situationships?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I've had way more of those than relationships. Like I don't go from like one boyfriend to the next. I've actually only had what I consider 2, but another guy might consider 3, like relationships. And then I've had like 3 or 4 other situationships.
Yeah. Relationships, I've had a lot. Situationships, I've had a lot. I just keep them under wraps until it's official. I'm like, we're dating, we're boyfriends. I really keep it under. Yeah.
Someone has come and gone during the time of this podcast and he wouldn't let me talk about it. So
yes. So I'm like, I don't even like going on dates here in town because I'm like, I don't want to seem like this revolving door of men.
I wouldn't.
I
wouldn't
just
go.
Don't. Especially since I know almost everyone
you
here.
You can bring someone up here.
But yeah.
You can pull them in from the city.
I have. Girl,
I know. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute there. I'll come stay for a week.
Yeah.
Well, so first we started this episode the same way we started last episode. And I looked up a list of like, we were like, let's not do toxic traits exactly again. Let's do red flags for relationships because I think it's good to identify red flags. And so I looked it up on the computer.
Oh my God.
The first one was physical abuse. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't the list I'm looking for.
How is physical abuse a red flag? That's not a warning sign. That's the sign. Deal breaker. That's a deal breaker.
And I understand. And we're saying that in the sense of like, we couldn't believe a publication put that. Yeah. I understand there's abuse situations and domestic violence situations where, unfortunately it starts as a little shove. And I get that, but just the way they put it. So I was like, why don't we look up like small red flags? Cause I think that is a lot more what we want to talk about. We're not talking about straight on abuse.
Yeah.
We're talking about what can we do to better our chances in the dating world for those of us who are still dating.
Yeah. And I mean, I had a situation where I had an ex where he was really drunk and he said something and I was like, I forget what I said. I said something catty back and we were with a bunch of friends. He's like, and whacked me in the face. And I was like, I pulled him aside later. I was like, no reason do we ever touch each other, hit each other in that way. Like, you just did it in a joking way, which that is
a red flag. I would say like a joking, physical.
I was like
assault.
If this is a joke and you slap me in the face, this is a lot. Already.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, Anyway, so I can see how that's a red flag. Yeah, shortly after. For sure. Yeah.
I had a friend who had like a situationship with a guy. He was her coworker, and they went out to a bar. And she kissed another guy because she was hammered and whatever. But like she wasn't with this guy. And you know what? You could end it with my friend. You could say that was disrespectful and I'm not into you anymore, right? I think she and I and anyone could have understood it, been sad and moved on. Your ego's hurt. You got too drunk, whatever. Well, he grabbed her by the back of the fucking ponytail and dragged her across the bar. So yeah.
Oh my.
So there are men and women out there and non-binary people who are incredibly inclined to turn physically violent right away and sometimes can't stop themselves. So like, yeah, I get red flag. What? Get the fuck out.
Yes.
But we want to talk about soft red flags today.
Yeah. Sorry.
But you said that, and I was like, that's crazy because it was in public.
Yeah.
It was fucking with coworkers, man. Like this guy, what would he do
in private?
Wait, I have one more thing.
Okay, please.
I have something else before we get into the actual soft, like the soft red flags, yellow flags. We'll call them yellow flags.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I read in I don't know what I was reading. I think it might have just been on Twitter, but if someone chokes you in a violent way, like not in a sexual way, but like chokes you in a violent or angry reaction, they are incredibly likely to kill you. Like that is the number one sign for domestic like murder.
Oh, for sure.
Like spousal homicide. I had I wouldn't have put it that. I just didn't know that. It makes sense.
I mean, for sure. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's by for sure. It's like, oh, yeah. If like you're like, oh, I'm going to commit an act of violence on you. Let's cut off your airways. That's my first. My God.
I had my husband's friend did that to him last summer. Like he held him against a like mirror or like a window by his neck. And my husband's not like he's a big guy, but he's a very skinny big guy. And I don't know. Like, does it say the same thing? Like if men between men or are men a little more aggressive with each other? I didn't know if it was like romantic only friendship, but anyway, it was really scary when it happened and my husband just went limp. Like it was a crazy drunk misunderstanding.
Oh my God.
But isn't that a crazy reaction?
Very. My friend was really drunk. I had to choke him out one time because he was getting violent with other people. And that was my only solution.
That's different.
I got to make him pass out. Mm-hmm, this is the only thing. And he's like swinging, kicking his legs. And I was like, let's get behind and choke this motherfucker out. But I've never let's kill them.
It wasn't like an instinctual response of yours to kill them.
Cut out their airways.
I have a friend who gets crazy when she's drunk and she's like, oh my God, she's so annoying. I love her. But she'll like think people are talking about her when no one's there. And we have to like hold her back. And I swear to God, if she were any bigger, she's like 5'1". We'd have to knock her out.
Oh my God.
I can't deal with that shit. Well, we hope you enjoyed last week's episode because this is going to be super fucking similar. So if you didn't,
this is
not the episode for you.
Yes, for sure. And still surprised how much that article was like, red flag, if your spouse killed one of your kids, that may be a red flag for the future. It's like, damn.
Isn't that fucking nuts? It was physical abuse, verbal and emotional abuse,
active addiction. This is not red flags, y'all. This is not a red flag. Maybe they didn't really. Their version of a red flag is different. Maybe red flag was like, stop, we're moving on.
What I hated the second I read it, my very initial response, only because we'd just done it on friendships, is the difference between what those were and what it is in a romantic relationship. I was like, are you fucking kidding? Like we hold these friendships to such a high standard and we call that toxic. But when it comes to romantic relationship, and I just look up red flags. So I guess excuse me.
Yeah.
I'll look up, I had to look up small red flags to not get beating your wife. It's just crazy to me. Like, but with friendship, it was like, oh, they talk about you behind your back one time.
And they're like red flag.
Yeah, end it. It's just crazy. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah, that is fucking weird.
Keep your friends closer and give them more grace than you give your romantic partner.
For sure.
I really believe that.
For sure.
This is the person, your romantic partner is the person you don't fuck around.
And you live with them.
You have one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you might have multiple, but if you're in any sort of romantic sexual relationship with someone, wouldn't that be the highest standard you're holding?
Of course, for sure. Especially if you might have kids in the future and all that. That's like, you gotta have major boundaries for that. That's fucked up.
So let's talk about these 9 soft flags. I have some red flags I wrote down.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we'll kind of tell you guys what the internet says because it's hard to see it unless you hear it from an objective. Like sometimes you need to hear your own situation from someone who doesn't know you.
Yeah. And just being uncomfortable doesn't mean it's a red flag. So it's nice to point out what this is,
Yeah, it all means something different to everyone else. But without further ado.
So this is soft red, yellow flag number 1.
Soft, yellow, red, pink flag.
Pink flag.
Oh, cute.
Your partner can't seem to get enough of you. That's number 1. I've had this.
Okay.
For sure.
I don't know if I have.
Oh my God.
think
I
I've
dated
been that
someone.
person.
I hope he doesn't watch this, but it was someone that like, he was so, I mean, from the beginning, he was fucking had his claws in me.
Oh,
like,
really?
Like it just energetically, just like we would hang out like 3 days in a row. And then like, he had a lot of things he was dealing with. And he, after like a fit of like, he would go into these like crazy, this is like towards the end of the relationship. He would go into these crazy fits where he would like fall on the floor and cry for like, hours, like 8 hours nonstop on the floor crying. And then at the end of, and I would have to be there for the whole thing. Well, I wouldn't have to, but he begged for me to stay there the whole time.
Oh, that's so manipulative.
Afterwards, he'd be like, I just want to spend all day with you tomorrow. And I'm like, what did we do today? What did we do yesterday? What did we do the day before? And
he felt like he had to like trap you.
It was crazy. Yeah, but I don't think in his mind he was just so codependent. And I was like, at one point I was like, I got to find an escape plan because I don't think it would be right. I chose to be here. So I have to find out a right way of getting out of this without just ripping the Band-Aid. I don't think that would be, I'm fine with just not cutting it off immediately. So it took me like a month or two to get out, but that was a major, like, I didn't need to read this for me to know that that was not only a red flag, but that was like a deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you had a plan to get out and you were like, okay, it doesn't need to be immediately. Because I would probably be like, okay, leave, but that's not very empathetic of me. But I'm glad that you also didn't feel inclined to stay because a lot of people, and it doesn't always happen like that where it's meltdowns, but just people who are obsessed with you in general, take out the meltdowns because I think that's a whole other level. Yeah. People are like, oh, but they love me so much. They want to be with me or they need me or like, it's perfect. Like they love me. It has to be right because they always want to spend every second together. And it's like, well,
yes.
And also you should be annoyed by each other at a certain point, like a little bit, not like I hate you.
For sure, but it's healthy to just spend time on your own. Like
it's incredibly healthy to spend time on your own.
But I did feel some of that. But I did feel some of that like, oh, I'm well mentally, so I shouldn't just leave if he needs it or whatever. Like I literally felt like guilty for wanting to leave sometime in the beginning.
I think people stay because of the guilt and it's just not It cannot be your problem. I don't know why we take ownership so heavily of other people's emotions. And I'm not talking about not being empathetic, but you just don't have to be that person for them.
Totally.
And they're like, well, no one else will be. They'll find someone. They found you, didn't they?
They did.
Yes. That was smart of me. If they found you, then of course they'll find someone else. Like, are you saying that you're just trash on the street?
And he did, like immediately after, oh my God. And at this point, I gained a pretty significant amount of weight by the time I ended. Not that means anything other than we ended things. And then, I was peeking on his social media for a bit. He married someone like 3 or 4 months right after that.
Oh my God.
And he looked almost identical to what I was looking like at that time. He had it was very weird. It was like immediate. Like
he just like transformed.
Or he just took someone. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, wait, the partner.
He was dating someone. He married
that
someone.
was so stupid of me. He married someone who looks just like you.
He just repeated.
That is common
crazy,
and fucking weird, but common.
Weird,
I thought you meant he started to look like you, and I was like,
that's weird. No, not that.
One I haven't heard before.
He just transformed, anamorphed, and hulked out into me.
It's so weird. I was like, oh, that's not usually how it showcases. Okay, number 2 really is super similar to that.
Yeah.
But it's your relationship. Your relationship takes up a majority of your time. And I think
not healthy.
They're saying it's not healthy and you're not spending time with other friends or on your own hobbies alone or work. If your work is affected, if your friendships are affected, and you're finding yourself wanting to leave and you feel like you can't, or they don't let you, maybe you just feel like you can't because you haven't asked and maybe it would be fine. But if you do ask or express a desire to get out and they're not okay with it,
what?
That's where the red flag is.
Totally. Or you could be the one that's like, I want to stay here. And why are you leaving? Why do you want to leave and go hang out with them? That is a red flag too. If you don't even want to leave. And is it
like that in every relationship? And that's something you need to work on? Is it a new thing that's developed within this relationship because of a lack of trust?
Oh, that's good. That could be, it could be a lot of things.
2 sides though. There are. I think that was really important when we were discussing this last week was kind of taking accountability of ways that we can also just not be great friends.
Totally.
You know?
And in like the saving aspect of like what I was talking about before, like who am I to say that I am going to save this person by staying here?
It is very
It is
egotistical.
a little very. It's
it
like
is.
who am I? Like, oh, I'm by me staying here, I'm gonna save him. It's like why
and
me?
there are totally people who dip early and you're just like, oh, you're kind of shitty. Like you're selfish.
For sure.
But in those situations, anyone could leave. Like that's allowed. You're totally allowed out. But I don't know. I guess my advice for this, because I am married and I do spend the majority of time with my husband because we live in a town an hour out of San Diego.
Yep.
We have a kid right now. Like I mentioned in the intro, we haven't had a lot of community in terms of like family for Ezra to be around. So we have been discussing like very openly and are on the same page about we need to spend more time apart. We want to spend more time apart so we can come back together and share what we've done in our time away from each other. If you spend every second, you do eventually run out of things to talk about. At first, when you're dating, you get to know so much and there's endless questions. And I think there's a period of time where this soft flag, it takes up the majority of your time. First 3 months, it's not a red flag.
Not
you
at
like
all.
each other.
Yeah, infatuation is so real. And you even said that about your son. You were like, it's important that he has time away from me. Like it's
all relationships
totally.
really benefit from that.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I think so too.
So I think that one, before we get too into like, the extremes of it, which, is leave. If it's in the first few months, it's not a red flag, but just like, don't lose your friends. Make sure you start taking that space. And, I've been with him for 6 years now. It's great to take space away. I love going out and doing stuff. And I love talking to him about it later. It's a new conversation we get to have.
Totally. Like when he went out with his buddies, he sat down and talked to you about it. It's like, it's good for everyone.
It's really good for everyone. I just highly recommend if you do like someone and the problem isn't they're not letting you or you're not letting them. And the problem is just, you just love being around each other. Just guys, you're still going to be there at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's like, it's okay.
God.
So it's not always a negative. And I think that's true. Like, they're your best friend. That's okay.
Totally. Yes. I think that, yeah. And if you get along really well and you want to stay along more, it's okay to like, let's pull away for a moment.
Everyone does have different definitions too.
Yes.
Though. And some people, are more hermits. And there are couples I see that are like elderly and they spend all of their time with each other. So like cute. All of this, take it with a grain of salt, apply it to your own relationship. How does it feel? How do others feel? If your friends are like, I love that you guys are always great, but likelihood is your friends miss you. And
yes, so, friends are good. Your partner shouldn't be everything.
Really, no one should be everything.
Yeah.
You are the only person who like, I don't know.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Ooh,
I can call
expect
myself up for
them
that.
to be everything, or you would be everything.
Especially because them being a guy, like, oh, you're my friend, you're also my partner, romantic partner. Oh, you'll be my therapist when I'm going through something bad. Like, I'll tell you about everything and unload everything on you. And then the same back, it's like we have to spread this out a little more.
I think the way to do it is just have that conversation. Just say it. I think sometimes people are so afraid of just saying like, hey, I want to go spend more time with other people and like come back and tell you about it. And I love you so much, but like, I miss my friends and your partner's gonna be like, oh my God, me too. Like,
yes,
totally. Like when you're in high school, so the earlier in your 20s, I think this is a huge problem earlier in your 20s, because when you're in high school, you kind of like choose a person to spend all your time with. And you're like, but I spent all my time with them. No, you didn't. You went home to your parents' house. You had dinner with your parents. You had sports. You had team stuff. You had sleepovers with your girlfriend. You've never spent this amount of time. So you just have to realize like, oh, just like my parents did it when I was, like people have so many facets of their life. So that one could be a red flag, but just learn how to communicate.
Yes.
Just learn.
Therapy.
Your
partner tends to focus on the negative more than the positive.
Have you had that experience?
I'm thinking if I think this is like common for work relationships and everything, but like I've had not someone do it with me, but I was probably that person for them.
I have absolutely been that person for just like a lot of people.
Yes, just like constant, like not realizing like someone's lack of motivation wasn't maybe it wasn't lack of motivation. Maybe it was just like they were going through something or they didn't have like like the confidence to do it or whatever. There's
or they
always
had
a
undiagnosed ADHD.
or undiagnosed ADHD for
you,
sure.
Ben, Amy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And to be sensitive to like whatever they're going through, I would just focus on that negative. There's always truly a positive spin to put on something that someone's doing that you think is annoying.
Yeah, I've been that person because I don't think I'm not even at all. I'm not a negative person. But when I am constantly asking people to do more, it can come off. That's hard to hear sometimes. But as I've gotten older, for me, I do try to present it in that way of like, can you step up versus you're not doing stuff. Like I do try to change my language. However, you just also sometimes just got to let things go, I think. And if your partner is just always getting down on you and it doesn't make sense, again, all of this has nuance, and they're just a negative person in general, plus you don't do anything right, it's probably just not your match. Like
probably
their match, whoever that is, it's not you.
Yeah.
They probably they'll either both be negative and like love that energy, or maybe you guys just aren't a match and they like don't like what you're doing and it's like, okay, let's just get out. Get out. For
sure. Like, I mean, like, yeah, you could, it does come down to like looking at something in a positive, like for example, if I was like, oh my God, Chloe, we talked about it last episode. Chloe always interrupts me. I can't believe she always interrupts me. She's always talking over me. You could say that, or Chloe always wants to share something that's on her mind with me. She's always excited to share something. You could always in a way that's real, because that's real. Both can be true, but what's truer?
So many things can both be true and be so different.
Yes.
I think that's so hard for couples, especially in any relationship. But just to realize that exactly what you just said, like I interrupt and cut people off is very true. And if someone just said that, it's a true statement. But if someone said Chloe always wants to like, she has always new ideas and is like bursting with new ideas, that's also true.
And excited to share them with me as a friend.
And I need to work on interrupting. And I know that. But also, anyone saying to me like, you're always interrupting, like, well, you do not get me at all then.
Yes,
like
totally.
I do need to work on this, but you also can't be someone that's like, it's like, you don't get my energy.
Totally.
It's just not my person.
For sure. Yeah. So like if you're the type of person that sees the negative in your partner, there is a positive spin there. There for sure is. I remember my first ex, he was like, would like want to pick up an instrument or like start something. He'd do it for like 2 seconds and then he wasn't feeling as good as he wanted to about it, and he would just put it down. And I'm like, bro, you're good. You have potential. Just keep going at it. He's like, oh, and then he gets sad about it. I'm like, what the like, dude, just keep doing it. It's just gonna take practice like anything. And I would get so frustrated. And then in reality, I wasn't sensitive to the fact that we both had undiagnosed ADHD that just was never ever like acknowledged and put in, so it's like, it also comes with maturity too and experience in life.
I think that's so much of it. It's just time, and we all mature differently or whatever. But as you get older, unless you're, I don't know, if someone's like really stunted or stuck in a certain age for, mental health reasons, and there are extremes, but I think the average person like you and me and anyone else, I think each year we just come to these realizations about what brings us happiness. And you know what? Negativity does not bring me happiness. Does bring some people happiness. There are people who just love the thrill of complaining. And I do love to complain, actually.
Yes,
I wouldn't call that negativity. I love to complain. Yes. I think it's funny. I'm theatrical. But the negative, like life isn't going my way. The victim profile I was talking about.
Yes.
I've realized that doesn't bring me happiness anymore. So I no longer want to be around victim type personalities. And a year ago, I wouldn't have said that. So
hell yeah,
it's time.
Here's the growth.
I know. And I just maybe talk to your partner. If you are like, if you want to stay with them and you think like maybe there's a reason they're negative, they feel a lack of self-confidence that you think you could actually like point out and they could grow from, I think it's worth saving. I think a negative person can reframe.
Totally. Because it may just be in that situation. It may be situationally. Like I'm not negative like that with everyone. I'm not looking at, but then in that moment, he was projecting something to me that I do. Like if I can't pick up something that I get frustrated and put it aside, even when someone else sees the potential of how talented I could be at it.
And so you get upset when other people throw it away.
Yes.
Because you feel like you've done that and you don't want other people to make your same mistake.
Totally. But I was totally blind to that at the time. I was just like, of course, fucking pick it up and just keep doing it. You know? So
everything in retrospect is, it's just, I wish, it's hindsight's 2020 and, but life is long.
Yeah.
Yes. And we will use these tools in the future. Okay, the next one I definitely think is a major red flag, and it's a small one, and it's they push the limits of your physical boundaries. So yeah, hey, that's different than physical abuse, but even the way they worded it, I think this is a pretty big red flag and maybe not a fixable one. How do you feel about that? Sexually?
Oh, I think it's if you can't. Yeah, you have to respect someone's sexual boundaries. Like that has to be a conversation before. If you're doing stuff and the person was not warned or have any awareness that you wanted and they're like thrown off by any sexual thing, I just think sexual stuff has to always be a major conversation.
Very consensual, yes.
Way before, even if it's like, what is it called? Consensual, non-consensual. Like you gotta be talking about it before.
Yeah.
It can't be coming out of nowhere and then be like, oh, because some people truly can, like in the moment, they don't have the words or the tools to, most people are not prepared to be like, stop. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely.
And especially women are trained, like indoctrinated in our society to just hush up and wait till it's over. You know what I mean?
So I think that is exactly, you guys, trigger warning, rape, but that is how I handled my sexual assault. I did say no. Sorry, you guys. Very much trigger warning. If this is, hard for you to hear about sexual assault, don't skip forward a few minutes. But when I was raped in high school, I did say no, during the act. And I just couldn't fight it anymore though. It was a very no, please stop. Almost in a way that I was talking as if I was kind of annoyed. I wish you would stop. Please, I don't like this. That is probably what my tone of voice was. And I don't know if I didn't want to make a scene. I don't know, but I was I'm gonna say it so that I've said it and I know that I've said it, but I didn't actually fight it at all other than that. And in their mind, I remember I got a voicemail from them later because I did report it to the police. It took me a week to kind of figure out what happened, but in their mind, at the time, and take this, however you want to take this, but I got a voicemail that said, I didn't, why are you doing this? Why are you reporting this? It was fun and flirty and we've been, we've been having chemistry and in their mind, they really were oh, you were saying no in a playful way. But so then for a minute I was oh my God, is that really, that's what you thought? And then anyway, I found out he had raped other girls and his current girlfriend told me that he raped them while in a relationship. He's a lawyer now in Texas. Isn't that fabulous?
But so that's why I said with physical stuff,
anything.
Always talk about, have the open dialogue before. What if it's the sexual stuff? What are you into? What are we gonna get into? Everything.
Let's not cross wires here.
Yes,
let's have the conversation.
Into anything, I really think it's really important.
In my case was the most extreme, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But there are other things that. And they are extreme though. That's the thing. If there's
extreme,
any boundaries pushed that you have put down, I don't know if you say, I don't ever want to have anal sex and someone sticks it in, that is, that's sexual assault.
That is,
that's assault.
Yeah, that's pure rape.
And
sure.
It is rape. And people, but that to some people, they get that far and think that is pushing the limits of your physical boundary. And it's oh, we had anal and I really, really didn't want to. And I've told him that it was horrible. I'm I don't want to tell you what happened to you. I want you to come to that conclusion on your own. But just because the one part was consensual
doesn't mean the next.
No.
And even if you were all into it a split second before, that's yes.
I guess it's really hard for me because it's what other ways, I guess, if you're I don't like PDA and someone were to
even tiny
do
things
that's disrespectful to your boundaries.
Yeah, that's true.
Just what? It turns to rape really quickly. That's the thing.
Yes.
It gets rapey immediately.
I
don't know. This one's hard for me.
And it's interesting, the whole sexual boundary, physical boundary stuff.
Right.
Being gay, I've been have a lot of straight guy friends and a lot of straight girl friends through my whole life. And a lot of the times, this like time that you needed like a week after to process what the fuck happened.
I had
some people
so many conversations.
So many people don't get that is more than legit. Some people don't get when you're like, maybe not like this. That is a fucking no, bro. That is a no. It's no.
It was exactly like that. It was exactly like that. It was but I ran out of the house with my shoes off, past his father, and got in a car accident after it happened, and I was sexually active before. So I was, I think 17 when this happened, and my mom was still alive. So I was really happy. Like she was there for me for that. And I'm very grateful, but, I had been sexually active. So it wasn't my first experience of a sexual nature. So I'm really grateful for that. And that was the other reason why now, especially, I'm very confident. It's been 11 years. It definitely was rape because I've had sex and willingly and happily, and I went to therapy and I'm able, I'm fine now. I don't have any triggers to this. Really, I think he was in the wrong and he's a bad person and he's done it to other women. And the only thing
he's a lawyer in Texas now, brother. Come on.
And yeah. So it turns rapey quickly. So I guess for me, if there's even a fucking ounce of it, you get out.
That's
you
what I'm
protect
saying.
yourself because you and if you don't get out and if you do get hurt it's not your fucking fault. But don't feel over dramatic to get out over something little. If you don't catch it and something bad happens to you, it's not your fault.
For sure.
Don't be afraid to, because he had made out with me before and I told him not to. I knew he was a friend of mine and I should have never hung out with him alone. Now it's not my fault.
Yeah.
But I do wish I would have taken myself more seriously.
Yeah. So that, like I said, I was friends with both sides. I heard a lot of dudes growing up being like, oh my God, she totally lied about her. Or she said it 2 months later. I'm like, dude, it's when you're there and someone's being taken advantage of, especially a girl in our society, the way America is now, how we teach women how to be, and you touch them in a weird way, give them a shoulder massage. They're not like, yo, stop. Fucking stop, dude. We are not even encouraged with these tools. So
and even now, even with the Me Too movement and all of that, it's a lot harder in practice than it is when you're just telling people, how to react.
Yeah.
So
it's and there's no training sessions for this. So long-winded, but I think the physical boundaries.
I guess that's a no for me.
Always. Yep. Nope. No for me. It's a no for us.
It's a no for me because it gets that one gets bad really quick. It's similar to the physical assault. It's just that's it turns bad quick.
Yes, for sure. They make seemingly harmless jokes at your expense.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah.
Have you ever done it to someone?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
a seemingly
Alex.
harmless joke. I
do feel
you've
had more toxic or red flag relationships than I have. There's actually nothing on this list so far that's resonated with me.
You know what's funny? I think this has a huge part to do with it. I started dating when I was 21.
Yeah.
I didn't have a high school boyfriend or girlfriend. I didn't even touch that aspect of my brain until I was an adult, past being an adult.
Do you feel like you were having a high school relationship at the age of 26 or
For
whatever?
Sure. It was 22 and we just we started hanging out one day and we just never stopped.
Even middle school, actually, I would almost say because I had a boyfriend in middle school, boyfriend in high school. And I had a friend who didn't date until she was early 20s too, didn't lose her virginity, or I hate that. I can't believe I just said that. Didn't have sex for the first time until she was early 20s. And her relationships she was older than me. And oh God, they were just so crazily immature. And I just couldn't understand. And then I was like, oh, that's because you had a 7th grade boyfriend you sobbed about. And listen, grow up as quickly or as not quickly as you feel comfortable or, whatever. But there is a benefit to dating and pretending to date as a 13-year-old.
For sure.
I do think so.
For sure. Because for me, it was, I never even, I'm telling you that part of my brain was never touched until way later. So
you
major
had no
stunted.
idea what was going to happen next. These flags, it's not I've been through this.
Yeah. And there's no gay relationships on TV or anything that you model after or in my personal life that I ever knew or saw any older husbands together. So it was never
and your partners probably felt the same way. So there's a lot of it where you guys how the fuck are you supposed to know? I know that sounds like an excuse, but
I mean, we moved in super quick, mixed our finances super quick. Like it was like super immature and very immature. Like,
did you think you were like gonna get married and be with them forever?
After we didn't even say I love you until over a year into being dating.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not that we weren't, but it was our first time.
Me too. In middle school, I was like, really? And then I was like, oh my God, I remember my 5th or 6th or 7th grade boyfriend, whoever the fuck, same guy, but I don't remember. It was 15 years ago. But I remember like when we first said I love you, it was like after 10 months of like quote unquote dating. You know, we never hung outside of class or anything, but we would text and like phone calls at night and all those cute, amazing things that are so cute when you're 13.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but then add being adults and the physical aspect and then sleepovers. That's true.
We were not
time.
having sex. Yeah, we were regulated.
Yes.
Yes.
But almost no free time to ourselves. We were just totally engulfed in each other. But then there was like, we were scared to say I love you because it was like the first time. It was like,
yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, love. And it's like,
yeah,
love means a lot of things. Like I would say I love you if I love him, I love him, you know,
totally.
But it holds weight.
Oh my God.
You know, I remember in middle school when I was dating, his name's Grant. I'm totally fine saying it because he was like my middle school. It was so toxic. You guys, it was hot. I was 13. And I like, first we started off as enemies. And then it was like, he had a crush on me. Also, just for visual references, I'm 7 inches taller than him for sure. At least 20 pounds heavier. It was just like a much larger, had hit puberty and he didn't, you know, like he was, I was like 5'2" at 11. I mean, I was, you know, I had some meat on me and huge tits. So yeah, I was like a grown ass woman dating an 11-year-old boy. Oh my God, this is spiraling. My aunt, you guys, this is so off track, but on track. My aunt sent me my mom's old computer drive. My mom died 10 years ago. My aunt last year or 2 years ago goes, I found this old USB.
Mm-hmm.
She said she looked through it. So I open it. There's a lot of shit on there. And I go right to the Chloe's photos. There were photos. I have deleted them from my computer of my 11, 12, 13-year-old boyfriend I'm referring to, like shirtless photos in the mirror of like an 11-year-old, like trying to be hot, like sexting on not even a BlackBerry, like a T9 flip phone. And then pictures of me and my big ass tits at like 11, like bikini pictures. Oh my God. And I hope she didn't see this.
Yeah.
But anyway,
she probably did.
When we broke up, it was crazy. And all those things you were mentioning, like if I could have spent every second with him at 13, I would have. And we were regulated. But so I guess people who are starting to date in their 20s, like when did you realize it was weird?
Not until after we broke up.
Did your straight relationships guide anything, or were they kind of like
it was
crazy?
It wasn't even the same. It wasn't even the same thing.
It's so different. Okay.
It was like I was always a major distance in between. I would like try to find every reason not to hang out. Like it was very different. Very different. Like your brain is activated, different parts of your brain when you're doing different things. Mm-hmm. And the romantic side of my brain was not even activated when I was like dating in my like teens.
No, there is no romance. Yeah, you never got to go through that.
There was no romance. There was never like an infatuation or a crush.
Did you ever have crushes? No?
I wouldn't even, it was so fucked up. I wouldn't even let my brain have crushes on people in like school that I liked. Like
you
guys
wouldn't
that I liked.
Want them to be able to tell
be able to tell or me even get attached. Cause like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. It was very weird.
No, that sucks too. And that's like a total experience of like being a gay child that I never went through. I didn't, I wasn't worried about people knowing. I didn't want them to know I had a crush on Grant, but it wasn't about his gender.
Yes.
It was just like a hee. But like I wouldn't be, thrown in a toilet if it came out that,
Totally. I don't think I would have been thrown in a toilet. Who knows?
You have said that you were from a rough part of Boston.
Yeah, well, I feel
like you would have gotten a swirly.
Swirly. Okay, hey Arnold. No, well, I grew up in.
I didn't go to public school.
Up in middle school. Well, not middle school, elementary school. I grew up in a rough area in Boston, and then in suburbia. But we would go to this after school program in East Boston, so it was like very ghetto area. So but but I would spend a lot of my off time in.
Would it have been safe for you to be an out 12-year-old boy?
In actually the place that I used to, they were very inclusive, really.
Okay.
Really, yes, in that after school program, not in high school or middle school.
Got it.
At all.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, well, detour on, but that does make sense why I'm glad you said that. It makes sense why you've experienced more of these recently. I'm sure if I dug back, I'm 28.
Yeah.
If I 13, that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. So it's because, late bloomer.
Late bloomer. That's a good way of putting it. Nicer way of saying it.
Okay, so the harmless jokes at your expense. I don't think that's harmless.
Yeah.
Your appearance or your intellect, making offhand
like
comments.
That. Oh, hell no. Nothing like that.
In a joking way. No.
No.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Never.
Hell no.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
It speaks to your self-esteem.
Oh, I've had someone do that to me though.
Tell me. Yeah, that's what made me ask, like, why have these all happened to you? Okay, so what happened?
It was
Can you give context too when you're telling these stories, like age ranges?
I was
just for
26
myself.
dating someone that was like 32 or something. They look at our reels at least. I don't know if they listen, but they fuck it, whatever.
You are a predator. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Maybe he was sober. It was a balanced, nice relationship.
Oh,
but it was there was like one of those people that had what you mentioned before, like not an alcoholic. I would consider the whole group an alcoholic, but not
it was a drinking they all had a drinking
major
problem.
drink problem. Like drinking 4 or 5 times a week, like at least a bottle of wine each. And it was just like they would turn to high school kids and like it was just like,
and he was
they were in
32.
their 30s, past 30s. So I was like, but
to
he
be
would
looked at.
Yes, and he would do that for sure when he was drunk.
What kind of jokes? What were the harmless jokes about appearance or intellect? Wow.
Yeah, just like being, well, it was funny to me sometimes, but then sometimes I'm like, bro, we're dating. Like, don't make jokes about my style being
if
like.
anyone ever made a joke about my body who I was sleeping with, I would simply never be able to sleep with them again.
That's what it turned into, for sure.
Right?
For
How
sure.
the fuck are what? You don't know.
I was like, this okay.
I don't have the amount of self-esteem needed to make up for their lack of, and now my new lack of, because you're making fun of me after you've seen me naked. Like, that's crazy.
That's a good point too.
Can you
that's
imagine?
I can, girl. I can. I did.
But can you imagine doing it to someone? Because I asked you, okay, so when you've made harmless jokes,
I guess it was.
Is it more intellect? Do you usually go after people's
intellect? It was just like something like they would do. I don't know. I guess I feel like I've done. I mean, I was just trying to. I probably have. I just don't have anything off the top of my head. I would never make fun of someone's body.
Right. I have hard lines in comedy.
Intelligence, or what I feel is a lack of intelligence, quote unquote. But that's fucked up.
I think I make harmless jokes about like personality traits that people are aware of, like always being late, that kind of stuff.
Why'd you look at me when you said that? I'm just kidding.
I think we know. I think we all
character development here.
Yeah, I mean,
Ilya,
so maybe
laugh.
that's not great, but I do think there's some things that can be handled with humor.
Yes, for sure.
And your body isn't one of them.
Yes.
So read this. I have so many. I have conspiracies on this one.
Okay. Number 6. You're nowhere to be found in their social media. Okay. Oh, yes.
I would love to hear your initial reaction.
I've seen a lot of couples do this.
Okay.
Where they don't mention the other person that they're dating in their life. Like, and they're dating, like they're moving to different countries together. Mm-hmm. They're living together and they're nowhere to be found in their social media.
Is this both straight and gay couples
straight.
You've noticed? Straight 100%.
And not, I think the DMs are looking crazy. That's probably why. And they like it. They like the DMs. Mm-hmm. But they both do it. So I don't know. And I'm thinking of 3 different couples in my mind.
Do you think there was infidelity?
Probably. There probably is.
Or at least like attention.
Yes, for sure.
An emotional, attention-seeking, inappropriate text messages.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to come back with an empathetic or like an understanding viewpoint of this. Mm-hmm. And then I have one step further that is within this realm that I think is crazy.
Okay.
So You're nowhere to be found in their social media. Number one, this only applies if you're really in a relationship.
Yes.
Stories, seeing someone at dinner with you, it's like, haha, you're telling the world, but you're not ever showing because you're not really together. And I get why you're hiding it because you're dating it, whatever. So we're talking relationships of, how about 3 to 6 months plus? I think I'll even give someone 6 months to post someone new. It's a big, it's like you're telling people. And then if you break up 3 months later and then you've only posted them once, let's say, I get it, right? Yeah. But we're talking like committed relationships, year, 2 years, and you're nowhere. That's where I'm starting to think this needs to be looked at. So I'm giving a lot of grace. I'm like, I understand some people don't post. Some people just, maybe they went through a bad breakup publicly and whatever. Maybe they're an influencer of some sort and they've got whatever. So they don't want other people to attack their partner. I think I understand that. I have had a friend who admittedly, told everyone, they never posted their partner ever on social media because they wanted to appear single to be able to grow a larger audience.
That happens.
And I don't love that because if that's your reason, why is being single, like, I don't know, why is your audience, what are you selling? What are you selling? I guess is my only question. Because like girls, if you're a girl promoting to girls or influencing online, they don't really care if you have a boyfriend. They like it more or whatever. Yes. So you're clearly your audience is your sex appeal.
Yes. And guys, if they see you with another man,
they respect the man. And leave you alone.
And they will, or they just, their want for the woman goes much less. They're like, And then the tiny little, a smaller population of that, like double down and really like get in your DMs.
No, totally. I think in this case, they wanted the attention.
For sure.
They didn't want that turn off to happen because I don't think it's that I don't think their attraction does go down. I think that they respect the new man they've seen and don't want to be perceived as, messing with someone's girl because they see us as property. So maybe that is a valid reason too. She's like, hey, I do sell my body or whatever. And like, that's my appeal. And I don't want that to go down because, they think I'm owned. Anyway, it's weird, but I will say there are situations like that, whether I love it or don't like it, that doesn't really matter. If it's not causing infidelity and if you're openly explaining it and you have trust between your partner and you're like, hey, let's say you are a sex worker, not just someone who's like thirst trapping.
Yeah.
I get it. Like that's fine. And it's open and consensual, but, that is not most people's experience. I'm just validating.
This is interesting though.
I'm validating those experiences.
Yes.
But that is not usually the experience. It's usually they just don't want people to know.
For sure.
And they are cheating on you. No, go ahead. Because I have one step further. I want to ask you the step further what your perception is.
There was this influencer I saw online. They did a study on him. They were talking about parasocial relationships where you create this persona online where the person that's viewing you feels like they're like dating you or they know you in a certain way, like intimately. And you keep posting stuff in videos and like little pictures of you with your hair flipped and like looking at the camera.
Oh, like
and
you?
Me?
And Gizmo?
Oh, yes.
I've never seen a thirstier cat trap. It's crazy.
Don't do it for that. But so this dude, he would talk about, he was like, oh, your man needs to be treating you like this and like that and like blah, blah, and he was like 7 reasons why if your man does this, then you should blah, blah, blah. Put all these videos, super hunky fucking dude, huge shoulders, tall, blah, 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 saying all this stuff. And he was purposely, not because of the business part of it, not putting his girlfriend ever on her fiance, or it was a fiance. It was a very serious relationship, fiance or marriage. And they were studying him because he ended up cheating
women
her.
are more. He ended up cheating. I'm so sorry. I broke the punchline.
No, he ended up cheating on her. But
with who? A follower?
Of course.
Yeah.
But he was building this parasocial relationship with his audience.
Because he's like, I'm the best guy ever. So
yes,
because he's
teaching you how to be a real man.
Yes.
He would be marketing it towards men, but the women would be attracted. He knew what he was doing.
He marketed it towards men. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do that.
Man, you got to treat your woman like this, blah, blah, blah. And the girls would be like, oh my God.
Because he's like saying good things.
Yes.
Okay, I thought he was telling women like, oh, this is what you should expect. But anyway, either way.
He was trying to be like the good guy.
Yeah, he's like calling out other men.
Yes. And then ended up,
a deviant.
Yes. So, but then you drop some merch and then everyone's buying it or whatever.
That's so funny.
Yes. So, anyway, so that's, a reason, that could be a reason. That's the social media stuff.
It's weird. You should have a conversation about it, and you're totally valid in asking.
Yes.
I guess. Like,
For
we just
sure.
analyzed it, but in practical terms, ask the question. And if they, are private or don't accept tags and you are tagging them, and something's happening. So just,
weird.
Trust your gut.
Yes. What were you going to say?
The second one is men in particular, straight men, who do not have any social media at all. I have 2 takes on it. Personally, well-formed thoughts. How about yourself? Do you have any initial reaction to someone who is in a relationship or married or, is dating a single or married straight man
that don't have
maybe
any
gay?
social
Actually,
medias?
this definitely,
for sure can happen in the gay world.
I think this does apply. I don't think this is a hetero relationship only issue.
For sure. Someone that doesn't do social media, generally, the people that I've been on dates or talked to that don't do any social media at all, truly were like, I don't do social media. Like,
enlightened
I don't do
souls.
It. Or like, they're just like, it's not part of my work. It's not part of anything. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't like all the negative aspects that could come from social media. And I got it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Not even to market their business or anything. They're like, I do everything word of mouth. I do everything guerrilla style. So don't need it.
Yes.
But if there's some dude and he's like, oh, I don't do social media. I'm like, sounds like you, like in the 2000s, you would be the guy that had 2 cell phones. For sure. That's what it gives off.
It gives me the same.
Yes. What were you going to say? Yes.
One, I think you eloquently said what I feel. There are interesting people out there who don't have social media.
Yes.
Who are too interesting, or maybe they are boring even, but they have no interest. Whether it's because they are more of an elevated person than I am, or because they're just so boring, they have no one to connect with. Sure. There's both personalities, and I fully believe that I can sense if that is the case.
For sure.
There's another type.
Let's hear it.
They are the uninteresting average men who don't have social media at all, who don't have a Twitter, an Instagram, or a Facebook. They do have a Reddit typically, because they're incels. No.
Involuntarily celibate?
No, I just think the personality type is the worst.
Yes.
So, and they claim, let's say, what's the situation? How does the average person find this out? I think if they claim they don't have one because they don't want their coworkers to see their personal life. If they are in the military or something, and or a prison guard, let's say, I don't want to have anything. I don't want people to find me. And that's their reason. And they continue to bring up the fact that they're doing it for privacy reasons. What I think is that they are definitely having extramarital affairs and don't want you or the other woman to know at all. And so there is absolutely no online proof of them or who they're with. And the privacy is not to protect you. It is to hide another life from you. And if it's just dating, it is to be in a position where if you were to seriously date, you don't know about the other person, or they're just making sure that when they're bored of you, they will be able to easily go out and find other women, because these men usually have dating apps, but no socials.
Or Snapchat.
Or fucking Snapchat. Yeah.
Sorry, but
you know what? Yep. And even if they don't, I still think when they start talking about it's a security thing, it's a privacy thing. I don't want people. No. You're hiding your multiple times that you're fucking other people. And that's what it is. You
can. I think you can. If you're social media savvy in any way, or you get the vibe when someone's talking, they're like, I don't do social media. You get this you're like, oh, you got a Snapchat though. I know that.
Or when they say, when they say stuff and you're like, how do you know that then?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yes.
There's someone I know whose husband has cheated on them and doesn't have any social media.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had other children. It's crazy.
Yes.
That's how far my head goes. Now it might not be that far.
Oh my
God.
God.
I think that is something that is either you're an aloof person who doesn't care and that is what it is. And I think there's a distinction.
Oh yeah,
or
for
there's
sure.
like the privacy guy. It's like, yeah, you're fucking other people.
Yes.
I hate that. I hate it.
But there is, I definitely have met plenty of people that are just like
you can just
not
read
social
it.
media people.
You can read
just
it.
Like,
yes, you know.
You can read it. You're like, oh yeah, they don't do social media. And they just like look at like New York Times articles on their phone, like that type.
There are so many different types who legitimately don't have social media. And then there are the other type that are hiding themselves so that no one ever knows what they're doing or can hold them accountable because they can't figure out information.
Oh yeah.
So
there's definitely that.
I don't know. I wouldn't. Oh, he wants to. I have friends who are prison guards. I have one friend who's a prison guard. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
And it's my friend's boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's in the military and he has a very locked down social media. He still has a Facebook.
Yes.
And it's a different last name than his, but he has a page that will still protect, it's his wife actually. They got married, they eloped, but my friend's husband, it's very shut down and private, but he has one and she's on it. And if you were to know him in his middle, you could find it. So he's not out there fucking around. He is truly trying to not be found by prison inmates when they get out of prison.
Oh, yes.
That's
that makes
that
sense.
connection.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it's like interesting you chose to be
You'll
in the
feel
military or whatever. It's interesting. So just be watchful, kids. There's fuckers all over. You give into them more than they give into you. I have been here.
Yes. And this is more of a feeling because like we always say, it takes two to tango. Like we're both here. If I'm doing something, you're receiving it. There's just an energetic thing. It's if you feel like you're giving more, or you could literally be giving a lot more and the person just taking it all, that's a reality too. But even if that feeling is there, that's for sure a red flag, in my opinion.
I think it's a red flag, just not being reciprocal in general. Or like if they don't consider what you would want to do and you're always acquiescing to them or bowing down to them. I think they're just not that into you.
Yes.
They would if they wanted to.
Hard pill to swallow, but
they can't. And they need to go to therapy.
And
but you don't need to be that middle, like while they're healing. So like it's either not the right time or they're not that into you.
You heard it here, folks. That's true. That's a hard one.
It is true, I think. Yeah, that one's just
black and white.
Set your standards high.
They've told small lies about their spending habits.
Small lies, period.
Small lies, period, dude.
Biggest red flag for me.
I
wrote that down in my own white lies, number one red flag.
Why would you need to ever lie about little things? Ever. Oh, like
unless it's to throw a surprise party.
Yes.
For me. Why?
Why? Where'd you come from? The grocery store. But you were actually like hiking or something. Like what? Why are you lying?
Why can't you let people into that level? Because a lot of times it does start so innocent and it could even remain innocent. And it's like, so what is it? Is it a trust thing?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's something there that's not being talked about. You're literally lying about it. So like, there's
whatever
just too much
motivation is, it's weird to me. Any motivation that leads to lying, similar to that, like not having a profile or whatever, it's like whatever that motivation is, like when it comes to lying, it is only negative. But there's different levels. Like maybe they don't trust, like maybe they had an ex who always need to know where they went and like tracked their stuff. And so they're a little sensitive, but that's something you need to be able to recognize very quickly in a relationship and call them out for it. If you catch it, call them out immediately. Anytime you catch a lie and try to get to the bottom of it. And if there is not a reasonable explanation and then end. And then if there is, but it happens again, then end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got pretty low tolerance for lying, but I can see, sure, there's a couple of cases we can move past, but
it's just, I would be shocked if there was a tiny lie just because it means way more. There's just any sort of dishonesty. I just like, we got to turn the page on this whole thing, or you got to be talking about something that's being hidden. Do you
call them out? Like if you catch someone in a white lie?
Yeah, I would definitely call them out.
Immediately? Do you? I've had this happen.
I can't, I can't think of any time someone literally straight up white lied to me, other than like, it wasn't a romantic relationship, but at work, I literally was like, why did you just lie?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you just lie? That was fucking weird. I turned it into like kind of a joking thing, but I called him out immediately on it because I'm like, that's weird for sure.
I tend to find white lies, you know, you don't necessarily catch them when it's to you.
Yeah.
When I notice that someone white lies in general about spending habits or any of these things,
habits, yeah.
It's just curious. And I don't forget it. I'm like, oh, you told me something different. Now you're telling that person this thing. And you didn't immediately look at me and go, okay, by the way, I'm telling them this because like they're, you know, my boss and I don't want them to know. And I took off work and I'm really sorry. And I was dishonest. And it's okay. I get it. I get it. Okay.
Oh my God.
Sure. We
for
all
survival,
lie
yeah.
in those certain ways, like you know, whatever. But if it's not acknowledged, that's what's always crazy to me when someone lies and they don't even try to make an excuse.
You're like,
I'm like, do you realize this isn't normal? Like you said to me and then you said in front of me did something different and now you're just going to get what? Psychopath. I hate lying. I hate it. It's gross.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, like those little survival reasons for sure, but not, yeah.
I think the spending habits one, lying about their spending habits. The only thing I'll say in terms of spending habits as someone who's been in a situation where like my partner's finances have kind of been revealed to me. I do think when you start dating someone, you know, you don't immediately, and maybe you should, and maybe this is some advice if you're in our age group, 28, 30s, whatever, 30s, you're 30, but in our, like, we're not kids, but we're not fully adults.
Yeah.
You, I think, are allowed to ask more questions than you used to be able to.
For sure.
On first dates. Like, do you want kids? Do you want these things? But,
for sure.
like, people's credit scores are not saying you always divulge. And in your 20s, if you, like, find out that someone's got a lot of credit card debt, because this is what happened to me, I truly think it came out of, like, severe embarrassment. And when we went through... You know, we had an honest conversation. I found out way too late. It was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, why wouldn't you just tell me this? You know, like you're in debt or whatever. But when I was like, what are you spending it on? Like, seriously, what are you spending on? Like, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But then we go through it and it's like, oh, you just are like overspending. Like you are you're living outside of your means. And like, you need to understand finances. And you were hiding from me how bad it was because you were so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I think
for sure,
you know, and if they come to you and tell you like, hey, I've been hiding this, it is a lie by omission. But I do think that, you know, if people are taking out cash all the time and not telling you what they're spending their money on.
Oh my God, a secret drug addiction or something.
Yeah.
Or like porn or gambling or something. You're like, that's, yeah.
Yes. No. Again, with everything, there is some nuance. And so, yeah, it's not a great way to begin.
Yeah.
However, nuance, I don't know. In that situation, I felt like they were embarrassed and handled it really poorly. And as long as they promised, you know, to never do it again, then I'm okay. Like I'm okay if someone omits that, because when you first start dating someone, you don't necessarily date to get married, or you don't date to have a serious relationship.
Totally.
You are just dating. And so you don't say something and then it builds up and it's like, it shouldn't.
But it happens.
I have empathy for that.
For sure. It happens. It's not like something that he wasn't being malicious. He was just majorly embarrassed.
I didn't feel like it was malicious in that situation. No.
For sure.
I think it's like there was a point where it wasn't my business.
Yeah.
And I think those boundaries are actually okay too. It's just you don't let it get too far. You just gotta be.
Or I mean, it was his debt, not yours. Like if he was taking your credit card and spending it on like fucking dumb shit like hats.
I know
and
people
shoes,
this has happened to.
That's what I'm saying. That's a red flag. Like
they've
if
been
someone's
bankrupted by a partner.
Yes, if they're like using other people's money, or if you're married and you're spending both your money on shit that you guys didn't talk about. Woo!
No. It's you know, you just have to be. You have to kind of dissect the situation. And you have to make these choices. Maybe you ask friends, honestly. Like you should talk to other people. This shouldn't be stuff you're just keeping in your head. Now you shouldn't annoy other people all the time being that negative, complaining, like wah, wah, wah kind of person. But when something happens and you're a reasonable person, you need to talk to reasonable people to kind of get a check, I think, sometimes. Like, hey, is this, what do you think?
Yes.
And listen. listen. Listen to what the average person thinks about this.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, next thing, people.
We're on our last one.
Yeah,
this is it.
The people closest to you don't like your partner, so other people divulging their information onto you.
What about, because I wrote this down, their friends don't like you. So I wrote down the opposite. That was one of my red flags when I was thinking. So your friends don't like your partner, or their friends don't like you. I think those are equal red flags to me. I think they're exactly the same.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point. I've honestly, this has never happened to me, where I've like, our family members or whatever didn't like me, or my family members or whatever didn't like them.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. Well, it's happened to me.
Oh, where they didn't like you, or their friends didn't like you?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you have a large personality too, so it's like.
I do. I think.
So people, what I mean by that is like there's more opinions that can be had on it.
Yeah. No, I think what the red flag to me is like, because I've thought this one through. I'm like, why is it? What's the why behind it? Because, with red flags or yellow or pink, whatever we want to call this, it's not always necessarily you end it. It is just saying you're aware of, and like, hey, if that's the only thing and everything else is great, like you can probably get through it, but you gotta be introspective. So
for sure, for
me, I actually have not had, well, I know I've had both, just like one way more seriously and one less seriously. I've had friends not like my partner. I don't know, because they were annoying and immature and they ended up not being my person. So
yes.
Okay,
so
yeah, you were right. Yeah, like, okay, yeah.
Yes.
I've disliked my friends' partners where it's like they're texting other bitches.
Yeah.
And like, and like, you're fine.
Yes.
And I hate it. It's like, what the fuck? So yeah, there's like valid times. I think it's usually really valid. I think it's a red flag because if their friends don't like you, you got to figure out, is it because of how they're talking about you when you're not there? I think that was my biggest concern. That's been my biggest concern when I've been in this position. Think of that.
Yeah.
When like one or more, because sometimes it's just one.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, why don't they like me? How are you talking about me when I'm not around?
A good point. Yeah.
And if it's not how you're talking about me, and if it doesn't seem really valid, and if you don't really seem to care that your friend doesn't like me, then I'm okay. But I need to make sure that the reason people around you don't like me isn't because of what you're saying about me. Because that to me you can't disclose. I don't know. You can't talk shit about your partner behind their back, or it's just not the match.
Totally.
Especially in new relationships. It's like, why the fuck don't they like me? They barely met me. Like, what did you tell them about me? Like, what are you saying? How are you representing me? So
that's a good point.
I guess like that is that to me is the big thing. And if they're not talking badly about me and they just don't like my personality, fine.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Can't be. Yes, totally. Yeah. I worked with some girl. I've always been the friend that, not always, but I've been the friend that didn't like, so generally a girl dating some dude that I'm like, girl, stop. Why are you doing this? And I've had I've talked about this. I've talked about this with you. It's like, I've had one friend where I was like at work, I was like, he proposed to her because they were living at his mom's place. And she was a Jehovah's Witness, and she was like, you guys can't be living here unless you're married. And he didn't understand the commitment of marriage and how important it actually is. But he was like, yo, let's get married.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, listen, girl, just look at me right now. We're working. And I was like, stop. Don't fucking marry him. He's an idiot. I don't like him for you. I'm not just saying this. You cannot marry him. He's
what did she do?
And she was like, yeah. Or I was like, and then you could just tell her spirit was a little bit broken. I was like, he's an idiot. He's ditching you to smoke weed like he's a child. You caught him doing cocaine and watching porn while you guys were in the same house.
And what did she do?
She started crying a little bit. And
she married him.
She married him. Yes, she married him.
I just want to let's cut to the chase
here.
What'd she do? She married him.
So I guess that's not good. Not good to give that much energy to it. But yeah, dumb.
Happens all the time.
Yes, unfortunately, it takes two to tango, y'all. It's not
dumb, and that's something I've said too. Because I'm trying to really be an empathetic person. As I get older, I'm trying to be more open-minded to the other perspectives of situations. Some people don't have the confidence. They've never been loved before. Their parents suck. They've been cheated on mercilessly. They don't, whatever. And they make choices that to other people seem really dumb, but to them, it's all they know. And it is dumb, but they're not dumb.
Totally.
It's just like, and I just want to hold their little hand and drag them out because it sucks. But it's like, I don't know if it's that they're dumb. It's just they just don't know.
Yeah,
and maybe they're dumb.
I really did. I was like, I know she's so dumb. I'm sorry. Well, she was at the time. She was young. I was like, I know she's so dumb. The only way she's gonna get out of this is if he died. So I hope that happens.
Alex,
I know it's bad, but this dude, if you met him, you'd be. I wouldn't wish death upon him now.
Someone dies isn't the worst thing. We all do at some point. So
I wasn't hoping he died because I didn't like him, but I just but
you
not in that
out.
situation. Yes,
you were so desperate for your friend to be out.
Yes.
No. I mean, I wish Trump died. Like, I just wish this would be over.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm out there gonna shoot him myself, but it's like, can we just like the heart attack? It feels impending.
Yes, let's just get it on with.
Come on.
I was like, can you just get into a bad drug deal or something?
There's so many good people that have died, and I'm like, and you haven't?
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, I have been this guy. So what did you write down in your cute little journal? Because I'm interested. You wrote some other stuff.
I did. These were my white lies, and I feel like we've covered. Sorry, not white lies, red flags, and I feel like we've covered like most of them. But white lies, huge to me. Don't like liars. Don't like lying. Don't understand it. Don't approve of it. I don't like it. Any kind of lie is a relationship ender to me at this point. That is any kind of malicious lie, I should say. Like I do, whatever. I understand there's nuance, and I do understand that. But malicious lies, we're done. Invades privacy. I don't believe in like looking through someone's phone, or having my phone looked through.
Yeah.
Period. Ever. However, if you do look through someone's phone, it's because you had a feeling, and if you find something, your feeling was right, so trust yourself. But at that point, the relationship's over, so my red flag stands. If you're invading my privacy, or vice versa, it's a red flag because we don't trust each other, and goodbye.
Boom.
That's pretty cut and dry. Like,
yes.
I mean, as a married person too, it's funny because I actually like the stakes are higher for me. Like I don't get to just walk away if something goes wrong. I mean, I can, certainly could, certainly would. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Not afraid of being a very common statistic. You're either on one side of it. You're either that 50 or you're that 50. So my standards are high. But like, when you're married to someone, you do commit to working through things, right? However, most of these like red flags, I don't think I could work through even married. Yeah. Like, even with the stakes so high, like,
like just like except like okay, I didn't dig enough when we were dating to tell if he was a huge liar or she was a huge liar. Like. I didn't do my due diligence. I just kind of emotionally did it. And it's okay to accept that and like you said, be one of the 50.
I hate when people are like, oh, well, we spent this time together. We've invested this time, or we're married. So like, this is what we promised or whatever. And it's like, okay, but if you had been dating, would you have left them? Like if this was in the first month, yes, it's like you would have. And the fact that you've spent all this time together, you have spent all this time being an amazing person to them, and they could still do this. It's worse. And these people are like, oh, but we're married. So it's like, you have to forgive and move on. And I think they're a really good partner because I've been with them.
No.
What?
No.
Fuck off.
No.
Leave. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't have,
no
gross.
patience.
If that's the reason, if the reason is because I'm married, fuck off.
No,
get a divorce.
No.
It doesn't cost that much. There's really cheap places. I see signs.
I'll be a divorce lawyer.
There are divorce lawyer signs all over Southern California.
I am going to be a divorce lawyer.
It wouldn't be that hard.
The market's
One of my
there.
exes is a lawyer too, so I just am so aware of how not intelligent you need to be to hold that title.
What is that supposed to mean?
I mean, like anyone could do it.
What is that supposed to mean for me?
I don't think you're a traditional lawyer type.
Okay.
I wouldn't want you representing me.
Fair. I don't know shit about law.
It would get so off track. I would be like, Your Honor, he's excused. I'll take over. Ridiculous.
Fine, I won't be your lawyer.
Oh, I wrote down.
Okay.
As a red flag to me.
Yeah.
If they ask your friends about you. Like if they're trying to dig for information from your friend group, if they like get cozy with your friends and start like talking and having this friendship and they're confiding in each other, they're talking about me, get the fuck out of here. Fuck
your
you.
boyfriend hanging out with your friends
and talking. I want advice on something. Your boyfriend asked me about this. Like he noticed you were really moody the other night. Never happened to me.
What the hell?
I've seen it. It's gross, and they end up sleeping together every time.
Inappropriate.
It's disgusting. It's inappropriate.
The only time they should be doing that is for a wedding. Hey, where is she gonna be?
Sure.
I'm gonna propose to her. Where
where should I get her nails done? What ring does she like? But I'm so that is so true. There's a nuance there.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the 5 years in, the 2 years in, however long it takes you to whatever get married or not or be that close, whatever. I'm talking about the first 3 months. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck are you asking? You need to keep boundaries with your significant other's friends. Very intense boundaries for a very long time, if not forever. But like I get over time, you become close and couples become close with each other. 10 years in, and you would ask and say, hey, like I've noticed, let's say 10 years in, Chloe's like been sad or something's going on. Like, what do you think it is? And I get that, like maybe if Ben turned to Amy in 5 years, my 2 partners, and it was dire and they were like, what is going on with her? I would be so grateful that they cared enough, but I better be about to commit before you talk to my friends about me. I don't give a fuck.
Bleep that word, Ilya, just for YouTube.
Talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
Do not, unless a therapist would report it, you don't report it. You don't fucking talk to my friends about shit. So anyway, that's huge to me.
Yeah.
Weird. Do you have any's?
No, but
that was it. Those are my biggies. I hate that shit. I hate privacy stuff. Big boundary person.
Yeah. For me, privacy, that's always a given for me. Like
it's a given for me. I've never looked through Ben's phone in 6 years. He's never looked through mine.
Yes, and it's never. I've seen people do that, and I just like was.
Well, you went through that one guy's phone, and you found out he was cheating on you. It was like an immediate.
I didn't even go through his phone. He was passed out with his phone on.
Oh, that's right. You just saw it.
And
it just fucking came to the screen.
Oh my Lord. I'm going to smack the fuck out of this motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. I've literally never, domestic violence is not funny. I've never
hit multiple people.
I've never hit out of anger. I just don't, especially 2 dudes brawling it out. It ain't cute. It's not, it's just like.
I've never hit reactively. I have hit planned.
Yes. You're like.
Not many times.
Yes. Yeah.
I've had a few slaps.
But I've never punched. No, never. But
I've slapped people.
But I have a listener story for, yes. So this was a homie, and this he gracefully wrote in.
I haven't heard this.
I haven't read. Well, I read the whole thing, but I haven't like reacted. I just like kind of read it and was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." Okay. So used to date someone who would literally do things like tell me their memory was better than mine, and so I shouldn't rely on my recollection of the past reference to disagreement. So this is after a while of dating. They just slowly over time was like, oh, your memory's not that good. So this is actually what happened. And after a while, he's like, oh, okay, sure. Convinced me to give her free room and board, utilities, and food at my apartment. $1,000 total per month, so she could financially support her family, about $500 per month, and then would tell me I don't understand what it's like to financially support family. Was physically violent with me on one occasion. Destroyed a huge ass TV that I owned by throwing the phone at it once she was mad at me. So this girl was just throwing.
I'm just gonna let you keep reading, and then we're gonna break it down because there's a lot. At first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait, and then it did something else, and then something else happened. So we're just gonna.
Also threw my phone across the whole apartment at me once. Never replaced the TV she broke. Ended up provably cheating on me with at least one dude she met at a climbing gym. Whoa.
Okay.
This goes in. The thing that broke us up. But I'm confident it was happening with at least 2 other dudes at other points in our relationship.
Okay.
Used to get upset with me to the point of ruining social outings because I would like hug a female friend.
Okay.
She would like squeeze her guy friends' asses and make gestures to them about like jerking them off and stuff like that.
Oh,
so like
my
he would do
gosh.
stuff. It wasn't like
So she didn't trust him and she was completely untrustworthy herself.
Yes.
Okay, so she was projecting.
And would use comparatives to previous partners as well as my own masculinity associated shame as weapons to coerce me into sex that I didn't want to have.
Oh my God.
It was a ride for sure. Love does horrible things to us.
Okay, can I see it?
Yes.
I need to see it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's I'm really thankful that you shared that.
Yes, thank you, dude.
It's really hard, I think, sometimes for anyone to admit that they were a victim of any sort of like abuse, especially for men in a straight relationship.
Totally.
So thank you for sharing, because I think it's really important to hear these stories, because obviously we've talked on the podcast before, like men are trash, whatever. I'll say that kind of stuff. And it's a fine generalization, but this shit is super valid. And there's a lot of men who are abused by both women and men, gay and straight. So thank you, because this shit is not okay. And just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're not an abuser. You know,
for sure.
My mom abused me in some of the similar ways here. So it's important. This woman probably abuses her friends as well. Like she's not a good person. This is a bad person, I think.
For sure.
I think the telling people, used to date someone who would tell me their memory was better than mine, and so we shouldn't rely on my recollection of the past in reference to disagreements. So that's brainwashing.
Yeah, like gaslighting. Like people use that word all the time, but literally, yeah.
This is the definition of gaslighting.
Yeah, like you just didn't remember as good as I do. I have a better memory than you, but that's what happened.
Changing reality. You're lying to them. You're manipulating.
Rewriting history.
Literally gaslight. That is gaslighting. If I've ever heard it. I mean, and that poor person. And like if it were vice versa, it doesn't matter if a guy was doing it to a girl. It both ways. Any guy, girl. That is scary. I mean, that's narcissistic, and that's just crazy.
It's a lot. I mean, I would, and I can. The only reason why it's so intense for me is because I can imagine getting into it hasn't happened to me, but I can imagine over time you just like, oh, you trust a person. You're you're whatever. But then when you're so far in it, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, damn, how could I let them just lie to me like that or say something and me believe them? But you're in it. Like it's so different when you're way in it.
I have a really good memory.
Yeah, you do.
I do. And I literally would never tell. I mean, there's certain things where I'm like, no, hold on. This actually, like, it happened differently or whatever. But to say like, well, let's just rely on mine. Let's just discount you. That's crazy.
No.
That's so abusive.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that to me is just shocking. I just feel like if you're in that situation and someone's telling you something about yourself that you used to not think is true and you think is true now, you are definitely like a victim of abuse. For sure. And hopefully it can be a survivor soon. Yeah. That's crazy.
And then financially manipulating.
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if I'm like really breaking it down in terms of where the red flags were here. Like where's, the first one's clear. I think convinced me to give her free room and board, utilities and food. I'm going to say this unattached to what we just read. If I were just to read that, right? If this is an isolated incident, it's your fault. Like come on, you could say no. Yes. Like you set a boundary, like, or it's fine. Or it's just like you had the money. And I guess for that one, that is just like manipulation, but like secure your bag, girl. Like, I don't know. Like,
yes. Okay.
I guess that to me, it's like, well, you are the one who's paying it. You could just kick her out. Like,
totally.
I don't know if I can really blame her. Like she's taking advantage.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think the same thing. It's like you're so far in it that you're like, okay, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, well, let's help. Like, if she's like in a panic and she's like, I need the help, and you're just giving money because you're like, okay, maybe later she said she was gonna pay him back. I don't know.
It's just like you're being bamboozled, and that sucks. But like, definitely, that one is way less psychological warfare. That's more just like you're being scammed. And also, at this point in my relationship, I'm married to Ben. Like, he makes a lot more than I do now. A lot more. Whereas
you're bamboozling him.
I'm bamboozling him there, but there's an agreement there, right? Like we both do things that contribute, and slowly but surely, I'm starting to make a livable wage again. But I don't know, that money to me is always, it's so personal to each individual relationship, but have your own finances and do that shit. But I don't know, everyone's system is different. It's a transaction.
For sure.
I'm sure at the time she was providing things to him in return. I really do think that. So
it takes two to tango. That's true.
You couldn't, like, you can't prove how much like he was being.
Totally, yeah. And for me, he's like my homie, so I'm like, she stole his money.
For sure. If this is my friend, same. I would be like, are you kidding me, that fucking asshole? But at the end of the day,
I hear you.
I'm not as like scared by that behavior. I'm more like applaud that behavior.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what it's like to financially support my family. Like, she was telling him that. It's just so then she's just like, it's all the manipulation with money.
Yes.
Physically violent with me on one occasion and destroyed a big ass flat screen TV. I just think that, and by throwing his own phone at it, that is so out of control. It's you're just so out of control. Like, you're going to do it again. You need severe help. Like, violence, destroy, so disrespectful. So I think women react violently sometimes for different reasons. There are women who are like serial abusers, like physical abusers, and they beat the shit out of people.
I know a couple.
This might not have even been her, but the fact that she would ever react that crazy, like, there's stuff going on with this girl. She's got a lot of issues. What would you do if someone broke your phone with your TV? I mean, I would get the fuck out. That's so disrespectful to me.
You're out.
Fuck you.
I can see someone that has just like, if you met this dude, has a big heart. You could tell he's very kind. He's a very good listener and all this stuff. So I think people are drawn to, some people that are abusive like that are drawn to someone like that because they just know how much of a tolerance they like.
Certain personality types, certain histories make you more susceptible to people taking advantage of you. And it's again, that's why I really don't want to say the dumb thing, because it's like, you're not dumb. It's, you were taken advantage of by a person who happened to know exactly what keys to turn. It's just, I think the most concerning thing for me here that I found very interesting, it's not the cheating. That's cheating is what it is, and that always, whatever. It's not for me. I don't have a tolerance, but like, again, not saying I can speak on, I guess, it's ever happened to me. I think it sucks. What is crazy to me though, plus the cheating, was that she would ruin whole evenings if he would like hug a female friend, like say hello and greet someone in front of her. Clearly isn't hiding anything. And then she would ruin everyone's night. I mean, that's just
fucking weird.
That's so severely problematic. It's just that person needs an entire like reality check and adjustment and needs to like spend time on themselves. But you don't need to. You don't have to. Your friend didn't have to. And I'm glad he left and I'm glad it's over, because that's not his problem. She's a problem.
So, yes, for sure. All right. Thank you for sharing your story, man. That was that's a lot. That can be traumatizing for like a while.
That you got out.
Yeah, for sure. Holy shit. Oh, for sure. As black and white. Our producer's telling us to wrap this up. But I'm glad that you wrote it in. But that's like, I've been in emotionally like a whirlwind relationships like that, where like at the end, I'm like, oh my God, when I left, I was like, oh shit, that was not fuck. So I empathize with like just wanting to be there for someone and be there with them. And even the financial stuff, I'm like, I totally empathize with that.
Yeah. When we have a different episode that kind of touches on this again, like there are stuff in relationships I've been through, I guess, that are maybe relevant. They're different than what we've talked about today though. The things that have been detrimental in my relationship, unlike the friend one where it was like me or check, like I've been through this, it kind of not as much today. I think my last anecdote of the like episode, the reason I think that I have been able to avoid it is because my parents were never together. They didn't have a relationship in a romantic sense. They adopted me as friends, and they had they were almost coworkers, colleagues. And so I saw I saw romantic relationships on TV, and like my friends' parents and like one aunt of mine, but the rest of them weren't even like married. So I had a very limited exposure to like a certain type of relationship. I got to see a bunch of different types in a very limited view. And I think it has made me, I'm not predisposed to a lot of the things that fuck people over in relationships, because I wasn't affected by my parents' relationship. Now I'm married and have a son, and I would love to, in 18 years, he walks out of here not fucked up by our relationship. But yeah, I think that's why I have a little bit easier of a time. I don't have that childhood.
Yes, expectation almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to work through what your parents, they've affected me in other ways, but I got really lucky in the relationship department. It was always very easy for me to see. It was just easy. And it's not easy, but I got lucky there. That's like one area I've gotten really lucky in.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, that was a good.
Break up with him.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Oh, wait. Yes.
To all of you.
Girl, fucking just leave. Just leave. Like
Dump
I told
him,
my friend.
Leave him.
Just
Leave
he's
her,
an
dump
idiot.
her.
If he blows you off to smoke weed, girl, just leave.
Just leave.
Just
end
leave.
it. It's not that serious. Life is long. There's a lot of people. Go get some new dick. It's all good. You.
Period. Go get something to me. Send me a DM if you watch this and you got a crush. Mwah. Just kidding.
Oh, he's getting feisty.
Oh my God.
Well, thanks, guys.
I'm going to delete all my dating apps.
I'm
exhausted.
Write in.
Write
just
in.
like with anything.
Yes.
Like just a question, an answer.
Confessions.
Oh.
If you have a confession, confess something to us.
Can
We won't say who you are.
Can you confess something to us?
And we would love to confide and then talk about it.
I'm just going to write into the
podcast.
podcast and not tell you. And it's going to be all my
Start
confessions.
a different email.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Love you.
Bye.
Mwah,
Mwah.
Follow us on YouTube at Too Long Didn't Listen. Follow us on Instagram at Too Long Didn't Listen Pod. And follow us on TikTok at Too Long Didn't Listen Pod.
Please make sure to like and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Thank you to our producer, Ilya. Thank you for our artwork, Morgane. And thank you for the music, Kai Music. You better listen, bitch.